All right. We got Dennis Buzukja in the house. UFC's newest featherweight. Albanian king. How are you?
I'm great, brother. I'm just in the middle of camp right now. We got 4 weeks from Saturday. Camp's been amazing. Pushing hard, pushing the body as much as we can so that we can train hard and fight easy. That's the motto.
You said the other day to me that you're already in fight shape, and you were 5 weeks out at that point. How does that even happen?
I'm always in the gym. So it's not like I need a camp to get ready kind of thing. I mean, of course you do, but it's not like I have to do it to get in shape. I'm always in shape and training. And it's just for the last few weeks, just really turned it up to get into fight shape. So I've been turning it up for a few weeks. Now the time came for like a small little deload period to let the body recover, and the last hard push to take it to a level higher.
How did you get into MMA? Like, how did you trample upon the sport?
Honestly, I just always kind of was like fighting as a kid. I would just always love like that type of action, like that. I don't want to say combat, but kind of like just fighting with people and stuff, not as in a violent manner. And the movies, of course, the action movies, and just being the superhero in the movie, protecting yourself, protecting others, being the one like people always look to for help. I always loved it from the movies. So the movie Transporter with Jason Statham, I don't know why, like the way he was like throwing his spinning hook kicks in like the oil and like just knocking everyone out. I was like, yo, that's so sick. And that's what made me want to really get into it. So I had signed up. There was a ShopRite in Staten Island, for people who know what it is. It's like a little grocery store. It had like the gis in like the glass case, and you like fill out like I didn't even know, I barely knew like what it meant. I just put my name in, put my parents' house number in it, and then it ended up being like a free trial, for like a month free trial at like some karate school. So they called my parents' house, and my immigrant parents were like, "What? My son? He did what? Free month? What are you talking about?" And then it hit me. I was like, "Oh, that was the thing I signed up for." I was like, "Let me do it. Let me do it. Let me do it." And then I started karate at 8 years old from that. And then I just kept falling in love with the sport. Going to gym, like starting in new places in Staten Island. And then eventually made my way to Serra Longo team.
How far did you go in karate?
I got up to my brown belt.
Okay.
And
how long did it take you?
5 years.
Wow. So you were probably at a good school then.
It was a solid school. Yeah, it was a good school, I'd say. I went to 2 different schools, actually. And then from the original karate place, I can't even remember the name. I ended up going to, it was called NYC MMA, which was with Sensei George. It was Shotokan Karate, and I got my brown belt there. And then I started doing bad in school, and then my dad pulled me out.
Oh, wow.
To focus on my grades. And then I took a little break from karate, and then, which ended up probably being the best thing, because from there, I ended up starting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and then boxing and kickboxing with Rashad in Staten Island and Brooklyn.
How old were you at that point?
I was 14.
14. So 14 you expanded outside of karate.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did judo at the time too with karate because it was a judo program, but everything was pretty much with gi.
Okay.
Then at 14 is when I started like actual MMA sport specific stuff like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing and kickboxing. And then I fell in love with the striking, so I really started focusing on the striking, going like twice a day.
Were you competing in karate before you did all that?
Yeah, I might have at least like 30 gold medals in like karate, judo tournaments. Yeah, actually karate, like the point fighting thing. I forgot what it was even called. Kumite. I have like 20 gold medals in that.
Wow.
And I have a few belts too from it actually. I have them in Staten Island. I found them in my drawer the other night when I went back. I was showing my little brother. I was like, "Look at all these medals,
That's so crazy. So do you feel like that benefit, like you're a striker, obviously, like that striker first in MMA, like do you feel like that the karate background helped that at all, or was it kind of just like a entryway into more?
I think it has like its place with 2 things. Like it was an entry thing for me to get into martial arts without me hating it so soon, like going too hard, too fast, or getting hurt, and me saying like, "Fuck this, I don't like this thing." And also it did teach me like snapping my punches, retracting back, kind of like footwork in and out, and like small little principles of like I said, like retracting punches and kicks back, snapping my shots, these little things. But overall, I think it was really like the boxing that really made me as a striker, that made me fall in love with striking.
So you were doing the boxing and jiu-jitsu and and what else?
And kickboxing.
And kickboxing. That was all with Rashad?
Yeah.
So who's Rashad?
Rashad, I met him at Capizzi's school. He's a Renzo Gracie guy in Staten Island. I met him when I was 14. We met there, and I had seen, someone had actually sent me his video about like a 13-year-old like MMA and like phenom, or prodigy actually was the word. His video has like 30 million views on YouTube. And I had met him there, and I was like, yo, I'm Albanian, whatever. I was talking to his dad, and then we just became best friends from there. So that was 14, I'm 26 now, so we've been friends for 12 years. And we lived close to each other, close by, so I was going to jiu-jitsu, and they saw like his dad, Adrian, who's a legend, he saw I was like taking it serious, and then he was like, listen, Rashad goes to boxing and kickboxing in Brooklyn too, like Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't remember right now what it was, but he's like, if you want to come, you can come too. So I was training pretty much every day of the week at that time. I would do like Tuesdays and Thursdays jiu-jitsu, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we would go boxing in Flatbush at Cops and Kids with Sosa. And then from there, we would like go eat like McDonald's or pizza. You know, we didn't know any better. We would literally like, it was either pizza or McDonald's every day. And then from boxing, we would take like an hour break and then go to kickboxing at night with Akmal at Bars Boxing. He's like an Uzbeki guy. He's actually a legend in Uzbekistan. Wow. And we were doing that every day.
So Rashad's an Albanian boxer. You're obviously an Albanian UFC fighter.
Yeah.
But where did you decide you wanted to stick with MMA?
I actually wanted to be a boxer at first. I loved boxing. I loved combat sports, so I wanted to be a boxer. And that's why I was training with them so much. And then it came to a point, I graduated high school early, actually. I graduated in January instead of June. And then there was a period where I was like, all right, I have to work now. I was like 16 when I graduated, or 17, and I was like, I have to actually get a job now, like a real job. So I started construction. And then that took away from my training. I stopped training for like a few months. And then there was a UFC gym by my house where I was living in my parents' house. So I was just training just to stay in shape, just because I love to train. It was like kind of like just an extracurricular thing for me at the time. And then there was this one point, Freddie, who was the coach there, he was like, yo, there's a fight in 2 weeks. Do you want to take it? I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? You know, I had no idea what I was getting into. I was
An
like,
MMA
yeah.
fight.
It was an MMA fight, yeah. But it was small gloves, no shin guards, ground and pound. It was pretty much a pro MMA fight. And I had no idea. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll do a fight. Like, I didn't know what it was. And it was at 155, and I didn't know anything about cutting weight. I was like 156 at the time, 157. So I just didn't eat for the day. And then step on the scale. The next day, I'm in the back room. I take the fight, and I'm in the back room. And it's like a sports complex, and it's like, I just remember like the crowd, hearing the crowd and everyone going crazy, and I see a guy come back like all bloody. I'm like, yo, what the fuck did I get myself into, bro? I'm like, I started kind of, not getting cold feet, but I was like, yo, what did I do? Like, I had no idea what I was doing. And I never even trained MMA, like full-on MMA. I was like, I don't know, I didn't even look the guy up. I didn't know anything about him. It was just like pretty much a street fight. So, you know, I go walk in the place, and I like look through the door, and I look at the crowd, and I'm like, yo, this isn't a fucking cage, and like there's a crowd. This is an actual fight.
You had no idea.
I thought it was like a competition or something, you know?
Like a karate thing.
Yeah, I thought it was like a stupid little karate thing.
No
and this
way.
was a full-on like a full-on pro MMA fight. So I was like, whatever, I'm here. So I go in there, and I ended up knocking the guy out in the first round. And then the crowd was going crazy, and the people were screaming my name. And then after, everyone was like coming and taking pictures and loving me. And I was like, yo, this is the best feeling in the world, bro. Like, it came out of nowhere. And then from that moment, I was like, oh, I want to do this. Like, I love this. And then...
that is crazy.
Yeah, I had no idea.
That's a sick story.
Yeah, and the fight is on YouTube. It was me versus Andrew Noya. I was 18 at the time. I had just turned 18. Like, the fight was April, and I turned 18 October. So However, 6
Yo,
months.
how do I not know about this?
Yeah,
That
I
is
don't
so
know. It never
crazy.
came up, I guess. So I kept working, and then I had taken another MMA fight for dead serious, but the guy was a really good wrestler. So, like, I hurt him in the first round, and then he just controlled me with the wrestling. Like the other two, like the first round I won, I hurt him, I almost finished him, and the second and third round, like he took me down and he was just controlling me. And I was like, damn, I was like, I really got to get my wrestling up. I have to learn wrestling. So then I started asking around, like, what are the best gyms in this area? And I wanted to keep it New York because I'm a New York kid. Like, the deciding factor, it boiled down to like Nicatones in Jersey or Serra Longo. These were the two teams that everyone was telling me. And then I was like, yo, just by nature, I want to keep it New York. And I ended up making my way to Serra's. Like, I went online and I filled out like a thing. It was like a free trial class. And then I drove from Staten Island to Long Island one day after work with my gi. I did the class and I wanted to sign up right there. So I signed up and then I would go work. And then from there, and it was only Tuesdays actually. So every Tuesday, or I think Tuesday and Thursday, I would drive after work from Brooklyn, where I was working at the time, into Long Island. And then I was training. And then Matt, he understood I was coming from Staten and I wanted to be a fighter. I told him because I met him the first day there. I was like, I want to fight for your team. You know, this is what I want to do, which I'm sure he heard so many times before. And he was like, all right. He's like, so they have a thing. It's like you have to stay in the white belt class with the gi until you get 4 stripes or your blue belt. Then you could go to the advanced class, no gi. So he made me go through that as like a test, and which I didn't know at the time. I thought like everyone had to do it, but he wanted to see if I really wanted it. So I would go every class in my gi, drive from Staten Island to work, and then from work to there, and then show up every time until I got my 4 stripes, which took maybe a year, I think, maybe a little more than a year. And then I finally made it to the advanced class. And then from there, I was talking to Matt. I was like, I want to fight, you know, I want to work on my striking and put it all together. Then he put me in touch with Justin the Kid. And then Justin gave me like Longo's information, and I ended up making my way to law. And then from there, it was just, the rest was history.
Yo, that is so sick.
Yeah.
I did not know that your first fight was like so impromptu like that. And then you just knocked the guy out.
Complete accident, yeah.
That is insane.
It was like a brawl, bro. It was a fist fight, like a bar fight.
So you were 18.
18, yeah.
When you went to Serra's.
Yep. And then at 19 in November, I went to law.
So it took a decent amount of time.
Yeah, it took a year, yeah.
A year, wow.
Yeah.
And so you were 19 when you went to law. So you're 26 now. That's 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
Holy shit.
I got to law, which is crazy. I got to law at 19, 1-1 as an amateur, and then at 22, I fought on Contender. My first time.
Wow.
3 years of actual MMA training.
So how many amateur fights did you have before you went pro?
I was 5-1 as an amateur, and then 2-0 in kickboxing.
And then you went pro.
And then I went pro.
So how old were you when you went pro?
I had just turned 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were probably fighting a lot.
I was fighting a lot, yeah.
Like how often?
Every 2 months maybe, something like that. I remember there was one time where I had fought in like June, and in July there was a kickboxing fight like 2 weeks later, and I took it and I won both of them.
Holy shit.
And that was actually, the kickboxing fight was against and kickboxing is different too because you don't know who you're fighting. I had no idea who I was fighting. And it was like some southpaw Russian guy, and he was blasting me with knees and he hurt me. But I didn't show it, and I won the first round, or maybe he won it. It was close. I came back second and third round and fucking destroyed him. Like I knocked his headgear off in the second round from punching him.
This was a kickboxing fight?
Kickboxing, yeah.
Wow.
And then I went pro. I had turned 21 October 1st, and I fought October 13th at the Coliseum under the Fedor Emelianenko and Chael Sonnen card at the Coliseum here.
That was your pro debut?
Pro debut, yeah, Bellator.
Holy shit. So obviously we're skipping a lot, but how does it feel to finally be in the UFC?
It's so crazy. Like all the time you're thinking of it, dreaming of it. I can't wait to be in the UFC. And then you're just going up in the ranks and just fighting and training. And then it's finally here. And it's like kind of doesn't feel real. Like nothing really changes. Life is still the same. But it's just like, wow, I'm actually a UFC fighter.
So I feel like since your last Contender fight, so you fought on Contender, you lost when you were 22. You had some you caught COVID right before the fight.
Yeah.
And then you still made it to the fight, but your lungs were messed up. Fast forward, you're fighting on Contender again. You won the fight. That was the week only Joe Pyfer got a contract.
Yeah.
And you won by decision, but the guy was holding you to the fence for a lot of the fight. I feel like the other guy was trying to make it a boring fight.
Yeah. I had heard him. It was the first punch I threw. I broke his nose because I remember like connecting clean and then he started leaking. And I think from that moment on, he just he didn't want to fight. He just wanted to wrestle. And he was just holding me against the cage, like trying to take me down, but couldn't take me down. And then I was trying to circle off and like he was just kept pinning me. I heard him in the second round.
He wasn't really taking you down though.
He didn't take me down once.
We see this with guys sometimes where they come in and they're on Contender. They know like Dana wants to see entertaining fights, but they just don't let it become a fight.
Yeah, and then even with that considered, I still, threw a spinning elbow. I dropped him with a knee, with ground and pound. Took him down when I shot and then ground and pounded. And I tried to make it an exciting fight. But it takes two to tango, Like for an exciting fight to happen, the other guy needs to want to actually fight too.
Engage,
yeah. And then you'd think on Contender Series, the guy's there to fight, which it really took away from my shine because I thought I did what I had to do to put on an exciting fight. The guy wouldn't go away. He just kept finding ways to survive in the fight. But it is what it is,
So basically, you didn't get the contract that night, even though you won, which usually guys who win get the contract. And then basically from that point until UFC Nashville, when you got the contract, it was like you were kind of on standby. The UFC kind of told you, like, be ready for a short notice fight.
Yeah.
So what was that like waiting for that fight to come?
It was so frustrating. Like, after the fight, like, it was such a weird feeling because the night of the fight I won, but it felt like I lost because the goal wasn't to win the fight. The goal was to get to the UFC, to get my contract. So overall, it felt like I lost that night because I didn't get what I wanted to get, which was the UFC contract and my goal. So it was just such a weird feeling. We're like, where do we go from here? Do we just wait? Do we stay active? Because in every fight, every camp is risking an injury. Every fight, the guy has something to prove. I won on Contender. If they win, it's a big win for them. So they're coming with everything they have. And then for me, it's like, should I take the risk? Should I not? The risk of losing, the risk of getting hurt, another weight cut, another training camp. But I just turned it into a positive light, taking it as like, it'll be more experience, build my record, build the highlights, get better, stay in the game, stay fresh, and it'll only benefit me in the long run, which is what I think ended up happening. I stayed consistent and I trusted myself, trusted my team, and now we're in the UFC.
So like leading up to your Nashville fight, there was like some ups and downs with like, you thought you were gonna get certain fights, like they notified you like be ready, and then it didn't end up happening. But finally, the Nashville fight, they called you, they gave you the contract, you're fighting, but you had 4 days to lose how much weight?
22 pounds.
So, what was that like?
I mean, actually, it was 3 days technically because they called me Tuesday night to take the fight, and I had to weigh in Friday morning. So Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, weigh in Friday morning, which is like not even 4 days. My head started spinning, man, when they called me. Like, the opponent, Woodson, 6'3", he's a completely unorthodox guy, like not average length, not average style. I had to think of that. And then I'm like, how am I going to get this weight off? I had just eaten sushi that morning, that for lunch, because I was going to have a hard training session. And that went out the window. Then it's a matter of medicals. Then it's a matter of corners. Then it's a matter of flights. Then it's a matter of cut the weight. Then it's the opponent. Then it's USADA. You have to fill out all these things, figure out all these things, your fight kit, what colors, this and that. A million stupid little things in such a short period of time. I had to go back to Staten Island to pack. I gotta get a haircut because I can't look like a bum. I was looking like a caveman at the time. Come back to Long Island so my girlfriend Paula can drive me to the airport in the morning. Get off the airplane in Nashville, go straight to the hospital to do my blood work, and then finally focus on the actual fight, which is the weight cut and the fight itself.
Yeah. So you got within half a pound?
Yeah, I think they said it was 0.3 actually. It was less than half a pound, but the commissioner just rounded it up to 0.5 of a pound.
And then they wouldn't let you keep cutting?
No, that was it. That was it. I guess they saw I was like so drained. I was supposed to have an hour, but they called it themselves. And it is, you know, what are you going to do? They fined me my 20% for that weight miss, which is fair. Rules are rules. And then, but yeah, the weight cut was drastic. You know, just cutting all that weight in such a short period of time. My body wasn't prepared. And I was taking creatine every day. I had taken creatine that Tuesday also. So it's like creatine obviously holds water in your body. I had sushi and soy sauce on Tuesday. Not, you know, it's my fault, of course, but at least another few days to prepare, I would have made weight and been much healthier in the fight.
So what was your takeaway from the fight? Like, looking forward, now you have the contract. What were you thinking about in terms of like how you want to take that and run forward?
I mean, it was a great experience. I went 3 rounds with a UFC fighter who has a lot of fights. He fought at heavyweight as a boxer. He had a great record. I took some shots in there, and I showed, knowing that on 4 days' notice, I can go 15 minutes with a really good opponent and not quit and still have some good moments. I just took it as, like I said, I always take the positives in things, and I used it as a kind of like a confidence boost that if I can fight like that on 4 days' notice and give it everything I have, then with a full camp, I really think I could beat anyone in the world. So that's what that is. I'm taking that experience into this fight. Full camp, I'm healthy, training's good, game planning, everything, and it should be a good night for us.
When did you like have an idea that you were gonna fight at MSG?
It was the weekend of Aljo's fight when he fought O'Malley. We were in Boston, and I saw Shelby, the matchmaker at the bar, and he brought it up to me. He's like, "Oh, by the way," he's like, "I want to put you on MSG." I was like, "Yo," I got so excited. You know, MSG's always been my dream, and I've always manifested. Like I've always told myself, when I make my UFC debut, it's gonna be at MSG on a massive card, and I'm looking at this as my UFC debut because I'm having an actual full camp, preparing for an opponent. It's not like just call and go fight. Like my debut, my amateur debut type of thing. So now that's what happened. Shelby told me, "I'm looking to put you on MSG. It's not sure though, depends on opponents." But he's like, "I'm looking for it." And that was about 12 weeks, 13 weeks. And then the Monday after Aljo's fight, I kind of got in the gym. And for 4 weeks was like drilling, kind of starting camp to just get my body prepped. And then 10 weeks of going hard.
So you had told me like you had this visualization for how you want the fight to go. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to keep it to yourself?
Yeah, no, it's all good. I want to pressure this guy, just put the pace on him, and just show that I'm a different animal with the full camp, and like I belong in the UFC, and I'm as good as I say I am, and as good as my team believes me to be. So I definitely want to knock this guy out and really make a statement and prove a point, and show that there's a new generation of Serra Longo coming up, and an Albanian fighter representing the country as an American too. But to represent that flag and represent my people, it's such a beautiful thing, especially in the hometown I grew up in. I think it's just a culmination of my hard work and visualization and believing.
Nas and Steamroller, 2 of your teammates, are also fighting at MSG. So like I'm gonna set the scene. The other day, all 3 of you were in the gym doing your own workouts, but together.
Yeah.
And like kind of building energy off of each other. Just you're doing your cardio session with Ray, Nas is doing a puke drill, Steam's hitting pads, but you're all like kind of talking to each other in the meantime. You're like, what is it like to have your brothers in battle next to you training for the same night at the biggest stage any New Yorker would ever want to perform at?
Yeah. Oh man, it's such a different vibe in the gym right now because we've been talking about this too. We said after Nas beat McKinney, we were like, "Yo, me, Nas, and Frivola, we're at MSG together. Let's make it happen." And we kept saying it every day. And then somehow it came to be. So now we're here, we're in the gym, and we're just talking about like how hard we're training, how hard we're pushing, how we're going to kill it together. We're all going to get our wins. And, you know, like you said, like I'm doing my session Frivolo's doing his session, Nas his session, but it's all at the same time or like back to back, and we're just there feeding off of each other's energy, just motivating each other, because we're in there, we're in the trenches together, pushing, sweating, bleeding, tired, you know, like whatever the case may be, and then just pushing each other because we know we're going to share the same emotions, the same struggles, the same highs and lows together in the same night. We're representing our hometown, like we're defending our backyard, so it's just a different type of energy. It could be, we could be fighting in like Tennessee. It would be cool, but the fact that we're in our home, where we live, where we train, this is our home, like we're representing, like we feel like it's our night. It's New York's night. It's Serra Longo's night.
Dennis, thank you.
Thank you, bro.